The fragile peace that had settled between Lena and Ilara was shattered by a different kind of ghost. It arrived not at their door, but in the tear-streaked, hollow face of Maya, Ilara's closest friend. She was 16, same as Ilara, but she looked ancient with terror. One rain-lashed evening, Maya's story tumbled out in their quiet living room. A party she shouldn't have gone to, a boy from a neighboring town she thought she knew, a locked bedroom door, and the violent, world-ending theft of her autonomy. The worst confession came weeks later, whispered in a panic, a missed period, a positive test, a future collapsing in on itself. Ilara was paralyzed by a fury so vast it felt cold. Lena, however, moved with a terrifying, focused calm. The woman who had spent years building walls now became a fortress for a child who wasn't her own. She held Maya as she sobbed, made the clinic appointments, and spoke with a steady voice to her parents, bewildered and angry. One night, after Maya had fallen into an exhausted sleep in Ilara's room, Lena found her daughter staring blankly at the dark garden. "How can she bear it?" Ilara whispered, her voice raw. "How can the world just do this?" Lena poured 2 glasses of water, her own past rising not as nostalgia, but as a dark well of understanding. "Come," she said. "There is more to my story I must tell you now. Not about love, but about power." They sat at the kitchen table, the heart of their home now a confessional for unspeakable things. "You asked about my languages," Lena began, her voice devoid of its usual soft melody. "Berlin was a storm. Paris was a cage. Lisbon was freedom. But before Lisbon, there was a man in Frankfurt, a professor. She was 19, brilliant and flattered by his attention. It had not been a jealous painter's frenzy or a cold intellectual's appraisal. It was a calculated act of ownership. He did not take from me what I offered to Christophe or Marco. He took what was not his to take. He used my trust, my admiration, as a key to a room I never meant to unlock. The room was dead silent. Ilara's breath caught. "I did not get pregnant," Lena clarified, seeing the fear in her daughter's eyes. "But he planted a different kind of seed, one of shame, of a fractured self. I ran from him to Lisbon. I ran so far that I thought I'd outrun the memory. Marco's sunlighted helped bleach the stain of it away. But when I knew I was carrying you, a new terror came. It wasn't just about giving up freedom. It was the fear that the world that made that man, that could create such an act, would one day touch you, or a girl like Maya." Ilara understood now. Her mother's quietness, her hypervigilance, the high walls, they weren't just to hide her own romantic past. They were a bunker against the violence she knew firsthand. "When Maya told us," Lena continued, tears finally spilling over, "I didn't just see her pain. I saw every girl that professor ever looked at. I saw my own younger, broken self. And I saw you. She reached across, gripping Ilara's hand. My running, my creating this safe, small life, it was all to build a moat around you. And yet, the monster still got inside. It got to your friend. It was the deepest cut of all, the understanding that no amount of sacrifice could guarantee safety. The days that followed were a brutal education. Lena accompanied Maya to every appointment, a steady, unflinching presence. Ilara learned a fierce, protective love. They watched Maya make the impossible choice to terminate the pregnancy born of violence, a decision shrouded in a grief that had no name. Grief for her own innocence, for the lost possibility, for the brutal theft of choice. Through it, Lena's past with her lovers shifted its meaning once more. Against the backdrop of violation, her relationships with Christophe, Henri, and Marco, flawed, complex, but chosen, shone with a poignant, precious quality. They were about the messy, glorious, and sometimes painful exploration of self and connection. What happened to Maya and to the young Lena was its absolute opposite, the annihilation of self. In the aftermath, a new solidarity was forged. Maya, slowly healing, found in Lena not just a friend's mother, but a survivor who spoke the same silent language of trauma and resilience. Ilara's love for her mother transformed into a profound reverence. Lena was not a woman who had simply lived a daring youth. She was a warrior who had survived a war on her autonomy and had spent a lifetime trying to shield her daughter from the same battlefield. The story's happy ending was no longer a simple, sunny resolution. It was harder earned, more precious. It was the sight of Maya laughing again, a fragile but real sound. It was Ilara and her mother talking late into the night about consent, strength, and the right to their own stories. It was Lena, one afternoon, looking at the sea and saying, "I am not just the girl who was hurt, or the mother who hid. I am also the woman who helped a child reclaim her life. That is a chapter I am proud to write." The ghosts were not gone. Christophe's passion, Henri's coldness, the professor's crime, Maya's trauma, they were all part of the tapestry now. But the final weave was not one of defeat. It was a pattern of survival, empathy, and a love that had faced the darkest depths of human cruelty and chosen still to build a harbor of light. Together, the three women, the survivor, the warrior, and the friend, began the slow, steadfast work of turning pain into power, one whispered truth, one act of kindness at a time.